He groaned in the spirit, and now Jesus has gone from, where's he at? Where's he at? Where's he at? And they said, come and see, and then we're going to see the longest verse in the Bible. Don't laugh, because for years I thought it was about 10 seconds. But after meditating on this for some time, it very well could have been 30 minutes of the God of all the universe, Yahweh in the flesh, heaving, weeping. A storm comes out of his soul through his eyes, and he weeps, surrounded by skeptics and critics, enemies, disciples, ongoers, friends, everybody. And do you know that the resurrection of Lazarus will be the plotting of Jesus' death? This is where it will begin. And in front of everyone, the Son of God weeps. The vulnerability of God put on full display. I believe these are tears of great love, tears of great compassion, tears of great sorrow, tears of anger, tears of hatred. You ever been so angry you cry? I believe Jesus hates death so much, and he's weeping over the curse of death and what it's done to his friend, and he's about to abolish it in front of everybody. He is about to abolish death in front of everybody. Tears are coming out of him, and everybody, we have to watch him. We have to watch him. Jesus has this moment, however long this verse is, it's more than a second and it's more than a sniffle. He heaved and he wept, and we've got to watch God weep, because right here is the foundation of what he's going to do next. You can't just run to the resurrection of Lazarus. You got to get in the valley of weeping with him, and you got to be with him in the valley of tears, because that's the place from which resurrection emerges from. And we got a generation that wants to translate right to the resurrection. And God's saying, you're going to find me in the weeping room. There's a place of brokenness. There's a place of humility. There's a place of vulnerability. There's a place of honesty. There's a place of where all of your views of God are put to the test, and you wrestle with how you really feel. That's what faith looks like. Faith doesn't look like all the right buzzwords and all the right false confidence. I'm all about declaration of his word, speaking to mountains and being removed. But faith sometimes, look, I don't get it, but I ain't getting out of this tension. I'm going to let it cut me, and I'm going to weep, and I'm going to get ugly with you, God, because I want reality. Jesus comes out of that storm, drying his eyes. Verse 36, I love it. Well, verse 36, everybody gives their commentary. Verse 37, 38. Jesus again groaning in himself. There he is doing it again. He came to the tomb, and it was a cave, and a stone lay against it. Look at this. Jesus said, take away the stone. I believe with all my heart. I believe with all my heart. I want to say this to you. I believe with all my heart that we're in the season to where Jesus is moving out of the weeping room, and the warrior resurrection God is stirring up his zeal, saying, take away the stones. Take away the stones. I'm about to release miracles in your life. I'm about to release breakthroughs that you've been crying out to me for decades. Some of you have been crying out for your marriage. Some of you are here tonight alone, and you've cried out for your marriage for 20 years. And I believe we're in the season of the Lord saying, take away the stone. I'm about to speak to somebody in there. I'm about to speak to somebody in there. Take away the stone. And now you get to see, you know why I was so rough on Martha? Because here's real Martha's colors right here. I love Martha. Jesus loved Martha, but Martha didn't get it. Look at what Martha said. Lord, by this time there's a stench. He's been dead 4 days. Now she's the I know girl. I thought you knew. I thought you had all the right phrases about Jesus and how he's the resurrection and resurrection's coming and he's the Christ, the Son of the God. But then when Jesus says, take away the stone, she goes, now let's chill, Jesus. Let's be level here. Look at what Jesus said. Did I not say to you that if you would believe, you would see the glory of God? And then verse 41. Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead man was lying. Jesus lifted up his eyes and he says, Father, I thank you that you hear me. And then he says, you always hear me. But because of this people who are standing by, I said this, next verse, that they may believe, verse 43. Then when he had said these things, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. Lazarus, come forth. The great warrior God releases his roar. The warrior God lifts up his voice. The warrior God storms in, and he who had been dead for 4 days comes out of that grave, clothed in the linen. They loosed him, and the revelation of the resurrection of God is manifested for everyone to see. I love that part. I feel like God's still in the waiting room saying, where are my Marys at? Where are my Marys? I want to invite you into a new place of prayer. I believe God's releasing the gift of tears. It's not emotionalism. It's not trying to create some sad thoughts. It's a revelation of your inability to change anything in and of yourself. Tears come when you run out of options. And do you know tears are language? Do you know tears have voice? Psalm 39, do not be silent at my tears. Can you put Psalm 126 verse 5? And then I'm going to pray for you. We'll have the team come up. Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. Next verse. He who continually goes forth weeping, bearing seed for sowing, shall doubtless again come with rejoicing, carrying his sheaves with him. I believe there's been great warfare against the saints, but I see an army that's arising out of personal crisis, personal loss, personal trial, personal warfare. I see an army of people who aren't as confident in their own strength, wisdom, and ability as they were 10 years ago. But there's a level of brokenness and humility and dependence that God has worked in their souls. And I believe he's calling forth an army of intercessors in this hour that are going to move into the next season, and we're going to see mighty harvest. We're going to see great joy. We're going to see sheaves, the harvest field released.